ever feel like you're just surrounded by information, but still searching for that real understanding, the kind that just clicks?
Yeah, like you wish there was a shortcut, maybe.
Exactly. A way to quickly grasp what truly matters. Well, welcome to the deep dive. We're here to do just that, take a complex topic and, extract the core insights. Tailor-made for you.
And we're basically looking at a system someone's designed for, well, effective learning. See what principles we can maybe pull out.
And today we're diving into the innovative teaching methods of Scott Leduc. We've got these excerpts from a detailed discussion with him.
Right.
And it's a fascinating look at how a really structured learning environment can actually work.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to understand not just what he does, but like the thinking behind it and what broader lessons maybe we can learn.
Exactly. We'll be exploring his systematic approach, from planning sessions with Google Sheets and setting what they call SMART goals.
Right, the specific, measurable,
Yeah.
all that.
Uh-huh. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. And then how he uses things like YouTube playlists as, well, dynamic learning tools.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll also get into his role-based teams and how he uses a tool, Trello, I think, for keeping things organized.
Yep, Trello boards.
And his strategy for balancing theory and practice, the role of this advisory committee he has.
Fair setting requirements, yeah.
How he handles professionalism with students, and just his ongoing drive to, make his teaching even better.
So by the end of this, you should really see how all these different pieces kind of fit together. It forms a really interesting framework.
So whether you're in education or maybe just interested in how effective systems get built, there's probably a lot to take away here.
Definitely. We're aiming for those moments where you see a connection maybe to your own ways of learning or, how you work.
Okay, so let's start by unpacking how Leduc organizes his sessions. Sounds like Google Sheets is pretty central to his planning. It is, and what's interesting is how he uses it not just like as a spreadsheet, but more like a dynamic hub.
A hub? How so?
Well, it's got a calendar feature built right in, and crucially, he can easily duplicate these sheets.
Clone them.
Yeah, and adapt them for different sessions. So think of it like creating a template. It's about efficiency, but also flexibility.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's not just scheduling, is it? He brings in those SMART goals for the students right onto the sheets.
Right into the planning sheets. And here's a smart move. Students actually get points for filling them in correctly.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a little incentive.
Exactly. It's a great way to encourage that goal-setting habit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. That whole idea of like gamification rewarding a desired action that can work in so many areas, can't it? Like learning a skill or even, I don't know, sticking to an exercise plan.
Absolutely. It makes something kind of abstract, like goal setting, feel more tangible, more immediate.
And does this connect to other tasks like assignments?
Yeah, he mentions, for example, if they're creating a blog post, they transfer these SMART goals along with their research sources, directly into the blog draft.
Oh, okay. So it creates a really clear path from the goal to the actual work.
A clear line of sight, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
from the initial objective right to the final output.
Now, this detail really stood out to me. He uses yellow highlighting in the Google Sheet for tasks that aren't done yet.
Uh-huh.
That seems so simple, but like really effective for tracking things visually and keeping students accountable.
It's a type of visual management, really. At a glance, you can see what needs attention.
Right.
And this proactive approach means both he and the students can quickly spot any roadblocks and deal with them before they become bigger problems.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Clear visual cues for progress, you could apply that idea almost anywhere, couldn't you? Keeping projects on track.
Definitely.
Okay, so moving beyond just the planning aspect, Leduc also seems to be a really thoughtful curator of online learning resources, especially YouTube playlists.
Yes. And the range is quite broad, actually. It covers technical stuff like songwriting and guitar.
Wow.
But also more conceptual things like game design and even film theory. It shows a real effort to provide, a variety of materials.
And suit different interests and needs, yeah.
Exactly.
And it sounds like the students don't just, passively watch these videos, they're actively using them.
That's a really crucial distinction, I think. It's about empowering students to, take ownership of their learning path by providing these carefully chosen resources and making them easy to find through Schoology.
Which is like their online classroom platform.
Right, like a central hub for materials.
Yeah.
By doing that, he's making it easier for students to actually direct their own learning.
He really emphasizes that students need to identify and use the right training tools, doesn't he, for their specific goal?
Yes, it's not just about consuming any information.
Right.
It's about being strategic in how they learn. What resource will actually help them achieve this particular objective?
So it encourages a much more active, intentional approach to developing skills.
Exactly. Moving away from just passive reception. It's kind of teaching them how to learn effectively, which, is a massive skill in itself.
Totally. Okay, now let's talk about how he actually organizes the students themselves. It sounds like these role-based teams are pretty key. And even their seating arrangements are structured around these roles.
Yeah, but immediately fosters like a sense of team identity and shared responsibility.
How so?
Well, by grouping students based on their project role, director, cinematographer, editor, whatever it is,
Okay.
he's creating these built-in opportunities for collaboration and peer learning right from the start.
Got it. And to manage these teams, he uses templates in Trello. I know Trello, it's that visual board thing.
Exactly. Visual project management with boards, lists, cards. He uses pre-designed Trello boards.
Pre-designed, so they have a structure already.
Yeah, they provide a clear structure for the teams to organize their tasks, their assignments. He adds students to these boards as guests, just using their email addresses.
Okay.
And that creates this central digital space where everyone can see, what needs doing, who's doing it, what the progress is.
So it's not just assigning roles, it's giving them the actual digital tools to collaborate effectively.
Right.
And for him, for Leduc, to have a clear overview of how each team is doing.
Precisely. Trello offers that transparency.
That idea of transparent shared digital workspaces, that's not just for students, is it? That's valuable for any team project.
Absolutely. It allows both the students and Leduc to monitor progress, spot any potential holdups, and just make sure everyone's contributing.
Yeah.
It's a really effective way to promote engagement and accountability within those teams.
Okay. Now, Leduc also talks about structuring his actual class sessions using lavender days and red days.
Yes, lavender for theory, red for practical, hands-on work.
I like that clear visual distinction. Makes it easy to grasp.
It does. And this deliberate separation allows for, more focused learning, I think.
How do you mean?
Well, the lavender days are likely for building that foundational knowledge, the understanding, the sort of why behind things.
The theory.
Right. While the red days provide that crucial chance to actually put the theory into practice, to develop the necessary skills.
And on those red days, the focus is heavily on the technical stuff, right? Like camera settings, audio recording.
Yeah.
The real nuts and bolts.
Yes. Those essential skills that really demand that hands-on experience. By dedicating specific time to them, he makes sure students gain the practical proficiency they need, to bring their creative ideas to life.
And you also mentioned providing small workshops and even individual support if students are struggling with the tech side.
Absolutely. That personalized attention seems really important, recognizing that students come in with different levels of experience, different comfort levels with technology.
Right. Not everyone's a tech whiz starting out.
Exactly. So providing that targeted support is key to making sure nobody feels left behind. Everyone gets a chance to master these fundamentals.
And this is a small detail, but interesting. He uses on-screen timers during tasks on those practical red days.
Ah, yes.
Seems like a simple way to manage time and keep students focused, maybe.
It's a subtle, but I think effective technique. It helps students develop focus, yes, but also time management skills.
Which are crucial later on.
Yeah. It also prepares them for the kind of time constraints they might face in, professional settings.
Makes sense. Now, Leduc mentioned an advisory committee that sets mandatory requirements for each session. What's the thinking behind bringing in an outside committee like that?
Well, the advisory committee likely brings in valuable real-world expertise from the industry, maybe.
Ah, okay.
And that helps ensure the curriculum stays relevant to industry standards, to the skills actually needed out there.
So the requirements they set are like a baseline.
Exactly. A baseline of essential knowledge and abilities that all students need to acquire during the course, or maybe during a specific unit.
And these aren't just vague suggestions, are they? He gave specific examples for different roles, directors, cinematographers.
Very specific.
Yeah.
That level of detail must be incredibly helpful for students.
Yeah, to understand exactly what's expected of them in their role.
It provides a great deal of clarity and direction. Students know precisely what they need to achieve and how those requirements connect back to their overall learning objectives, those SMART goals we talked about earlier.
Right, it all ties together. So alongside these mandatory requirements, there are also limitations set for each session. That sounds a bit counterintuitive at first, limiting students.
Might sound odd, yeah. But the limitations often also defined by that advisory committee, likely serve to help students focus their efforts
Focus how?
by maybe concentrating on mastering specific technical skills without getting overwhelmed by like too many possibilities all at once.
Okay. So it's about encouraging deeper learning in key areas, not trying to do everything.
Exactly. But he also stresses the importance of students setting their own limitations for their projects.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just top down.
Right. It encourages them to think critically, strategically, about the resources they have, the time available, their current skill levels.
So it fosters more realistic project planning
Oh,
and execution.
precisely, which is a hugely valuable skill that goes way beyond the classroom.
And to help them with that process, setting limitations and planning, he uses things like prompts and surveys to get them brainstorming.
Yeah, these tools act as guides. They help students define the scope of their project, make sure they have a clear direction before they really start digging in.
Moving from a big idea to a manageable plan.
Exactly that.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about accountability beyond just finishing tasks. Leduc uses something he calls a professionalism rubric. What does that actually involve?
So the professionalism rubric is basically a way to evaluate those important non-technical aspects of learning.
Like behavior, attendance.
Exactly. Behavior in class, attendance. He specifically mentions that 100% attendance is a key expectation.
Wow, 100%.
Seems like it. And also the requirement to communicate any absences properly via email.
Okay. And his method for tracking attendance is kind of surprisingly low-tech, isn't it? Using colored pens on a photo list.
Yeah, it's very visual, very straightforward, easy to see who's there, track any patterns. The different colors probably indicate different reasons for absence or maybe tardiness. Gives a quick overview.
He really seems to emphasize how significant professionalism and accountability are, especially for his more advanced students, the IB students.
Absolutely. He sounds like he's consciously preparing them for the expectations of, higher education, the professional world.
Where those qualities are highly valued.
Hugely valued. These are fundamental skills for success anywhere. The rubric reinforces responsibility, clear communication, respect for the learning environment, respect for their peers.
Makes sense. Now, throughout this whole discussion, the idea of balancing theory and practical application keeps popping up. It really seems like a deliberate part of his teaching philosophy.
Oh, definitely. It's a cornerstone of effective learning, isn't it?
How so?
Well, theory gives you that essential foundation, the understanding, the why behind the how.
Right.
But practice is where students actually solidify that knowledge, where they develop tangible skills through direct experience. You need both.
And he structures his sessions specifically to include both, doesn't he? Like theoretical discussions and practical workshops?
Yes, it's not one or the other. They're integrated.
Which seems smart.
Exactly. This integrated approach kind of mirrors how learning often works in college or professional settings, where understanding concepts deeply is just as vital as being able to apply them in the real world.
Like teaching film theory alongside how to actually operate the camera.
Perfect example, that balance in action.
It also sounds like Leduc creates a really interesting classroom dynamic by sort of leveraging the experience of his more advanced students.
Yes, using them to help their peers.
Right.
This creates a kind of supportive learning ecosystem. More experienced students can act as mentors or guides for those still developing skills.
And that's good for everyone involved, presumably?
It seems so. The advanced students reinforce their own understanding by explaining things to others, and those who are struggling get peer support, plus the instructor's guidance.
And he actively works to support students who are finding things tough, giving them individual attention, helping them solve problems.
Yeah, recognizing that students have diverse learning needs is just crucial for good teaching, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Providing that individualized support makes sure no one feels overwhelmed or gets left behind. It fosters a more inclusive, encouraging environment.
He even sees value in having that mix of experience levels in the classroom itself, which is an interesting take.
A diverse group brings a wider range of perspectives, different skills, to the table. That can enrich the experience for everyone involved.
But it must also be challenging to manage.
Oh, I'm sure. Managing such a diverse group effectively, making sure everyone's learning what they need to learn, that definitely presents unique challenges for any instructor.
Okay, so finally, Leduc reflects on the past year, the challenges, the successes, and his ongoing efforts to make his system even better.
Yeah, that commitment to continuous improvement is really admirable.
It really is.
It shows a real growth mindset, and a deep dedication to his students' success. He's not just sticking with what works okay.
Right, tweaking it.
He's constantly looking for ways to refine his approach, to better meet their needs as they change.
And he's even got specific plans for future sessions, testing out new approaches to boost learning and engagement even more.
Sounds like a really dynamic, constantly evolving system, which is probably what makes it effective.
And his emphasis on collaborating with other educators, sharing resources, that feels really important too, for the whole teaching community.
Oh, hugely important. It's about collective learning, isn't it? Striving together for better outcomes for all students.
So, wrapping this up, if you're looking for ideas on how to maybe structure more engaging, more accountable learning environments, Scott LeDuc's approach, this multifaceted system we've unpacked.
Yeah, it offers some incredibly valuable insights, I think.
These aren't just abstract theories, are they? They're practical methods, things you could potentially adapt and apply yourself.
Definitely. In various learning contexts or even professional ones, think about how incorporating elements like structured planning or curated resources or maybe fostering more peer collaboration.
How could that enhance your own learning or the way your team works?
Exactly.
It really gives you some food for thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How might you take some of these strategies, these ideas, and apply them in your own world? Well, we hope this deep dive has given you some new perspectives to consider.
We'll continue to explore diverse sources and try to bring you more applicable insights in our future discussions.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.